Well, good morning everyone, and it's a cracking Saturday morning. It's Super Saturday because today we're meeting another producer, but not one, but two producers, and we're talking all things asparagus. So we'll go round one. Pam, good morning.
Good morning.
So Pam from Newry is our asparagus queen. Pam, tell us everything about asparagus, and firstly, where does the name Newry come from?
Newry's rather historic property on Patina Road, and it used to have, or it still does have, a section that's been stoned off in the river, which used to run the flour mill, and the machinery's still down on our mill race dam, and we actually live on the Flying Mile, which is known as the Flying Mile.
Beautiful, on the way to Longford. Wonderful.
On Patina Road.
So that's where the name Newry comes from. Now, in regards to asparagus, why did you start harvesting asparagus?
Why did I start growing asparagus, do you mean?
Yes, growing.
Well, I retired. I had a nursery, a rose nursery, and that's what my trade was. I was a rose specialist. And originally started the National Rose Garden. And then after 10 years I decided I was going to retire from that, seeing I originally said I was only going to work for 2 years, but after 10 years I was getting too old. And I had a brainwave in the middle of the night. I love growing things, I've always grown things. And I like growing things in a traditional manner. And I decided in one of my brainwaves I'm going to have a crack at growing asparagus, because at this stage nobody was growing fresh asparagus in Tassie. They'd all gone. It's very labour intensive, it's difficult, I thought, nah, I'll give this a go.
Now tell us why it's so labour intensive. That gorgeous little stalk, but it seems like it's quite hard. Tell our viewers out there, why is it so hard?
It can be sensitive, it's frost sensitive, it's sometimes, like last Saturday, it's really annoying because we had a frost and the whole lot lay on the ground and died. So then I have to walk along. I do it all by hand. I walked along, I cut it off and I threw it on the ground. There was a lot of bad language went with it, but...
The joys of being a farmer.
The joys of being a farmer. Look, it's a bit like being a mushroom farmer. There's a serious joy about seeing something grow like that. And I walk out and I do harvest half my paddock in the morning, and then if I'm a bit short, I can start on the first row again, and it's grown that fast. Except when it's really cold, like this.
So it certainly doesn't like the cold elements. And what are the ways you do then to protect it? Because naturally, you can't protect it at all. So if it goes cold, it goes frosty, you've lost your harvest.
I've lost my harvest, but I am not like the cherry farmers or the peach farmers or those guys that I just throw it on the ground, and then in a couple of days I picked it up again. It's grown again.
We might have a look at your harvest over here. So we've got a couple of options here, and just show me, Pam, in regards to your baby asparagus. Baby asparagus, is
That's
that right?
baby asparagus.
And then what else we've got here? Just explain to us what the actual
juveniles.
Juveniles. Yeah, don't trust me about asparagus. This is why I got the growers here.
And then Sally will probably get out some jumbos and show you the jumbos. We have sort of three sizes, and people seem to think, this big asparagus like that takes a long time to grow, right?
So that's the jumbo.
That's a jumbo, right? And I have people that just love jumbos. And the restaurants, they shave this and do all these wonderful things with it. They're the babies, right? They just grow up and I cut them, and that's what I call my labour money. Yeah.
Okay.
And they all grow at the same rate.
Yep. Okay.
That is exactly the same age as that.
And with asparagus, is it a seedling or what is it actually? Because, again, we all joke on here that I'm the city boy who's got no understanding about growing things. Is it a seedling, or how does asparagus actually grow?
It grows from a crown. Okay, I grew 16,000 seeds because I didn't have anybody else to do it. Because nobody was doing it. So I grew it from seed, and it took me 3 years, and I sowed, eventually after 18 months I got it into the paddock, and nobody was there to tell me how to do it. So I just sort of worked it all out myself. And my working out now, I've got a few problems because I planted it a bit close in my rows. So now it's 10 years old, and my crowns are about this big, so they've got into my walkway. Right. So I'm doing this.
Managing and stepping over them. And on average, how many heads of asparagus would you bring to the market each week? How many babies have you got here?
How
They're
many
like
babies?
children almost.
200 bunches I tend to bring to the market.
Wonderful. Excellent.
Each week.
And you're a sellout.
Oh yes, I usually sell everything and go home exhausted.
And then you do it all over again
And I
the
do
next
it
week.
all over again.
Wonderful.
And it's slow, and when it's cold like this, it grows slowly. But when it's warm, I could.
But it's a labour of love.
Well, it is. And I grow mine under straw, so I don't use any chemicals, so that it pops up through the straw like mushrooms.
Wonderful. Excellent. You're a gem. Come here.
No,
Thank
I'm
you so
old.
much. And if you've got any questions for Pam, certainly on here, ask us a comment below. We're going to go for a wander.
Yep.
Have an amazing Saturday.
Will
Hope you
do.
sell out again. Thank you for all your knowledge.
Thank you.
And we'll see you very soon.
Okay, bye.
Wonderful. So, round one on Super Saturday, where we're talking about asparagus, and it's one of the things which we love about the Meet the Producer market is that we're actually interviewing all our storeholders and really finding out what they love about Harvest Launceston. Come with me, we're going to go for a little wander, and we've actually got to go over to the other side of the market. We've got live music today, we've got the coffee, we've got meat and cheese, so certainly if you're hungry, you want breakfast, come on down. I might be like roaming Brian where I might even try and grab someone. We'll see. We've got honey. Actually, something which I noticed about this Harvest Launceston is that people line up for their producers very much early on in the day. So when I arrive here like 8:05, there's people lining up for seafood and for coffee. But we're going to head over to the Headlams, who are also doing asparagus as well. But they've got some unique varieties which we're going to ask as well. Lucy's in deep conversation right now. We're going to grab Lucy shortly. We've got Charles, another family member as well. And Phil, how are you? Great to see you. Lucy Headlam, how are you? Lucy and Philip Headlam of the Headlam Farm, who also grow asparagus as well. Guys, first and foremost, why asparagus? Why did you start growing asparagus?
We started growing asparagus a long time ago at Waterhouse.
Yeah.
And
So Waterhouse is near Bridport.
on the eastern side of
Yeah,
Bridport.
yeah.
And there was no one growing it at that stage. This is 20 years ago.
I'm going to come in behind. I'm going to become a part of the family here.
20 years ago this was.
Yep.
And we grew it there for 13 years.
Okay.
And then the crop came to its end. And we moved to Pipes Brook and
Okay.
we started again.
Wonderful.
Had a bit of a break, saw the opportunity.
With the harvest market, I
Yeah,
think that
wonderful.
Yeah, the consumers are wanting to know where the product's from, who's growing it, ethical labour, employ locals, money stays in the community.
Excellent. So it's actually your second round of growing asparagus, and very much driven by when Harvest Launceston opened, you saw another opportunity there.
That's right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now
And probably half our product we sell at the market.
Wonderful.
Or third. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, naturally we've got green asparagus, but we've also got purple asparagus as well. Lucy, tell us a little bit about the differences. Is it just the colour or is it the taste as well?
yeah, I think, Josh, the taste's a little bit milder and sweeter. It's a more delicate vegetable. It takes less cooking. Certainly doesn't like to be overcooked.
Okay.
Full of antioxidants, like any purple, dark purple or red
Sure
vegetable.
on that, Josh.
Have a little taste.
It's
Josh.
like a taste test.
It's a taste test, Josh. Yeah.
It's soft.
It's very, it's softer. It needs very little cooking, less cooking than the green. And the green needs.
So we always talk about how naive I am, especially with growing vegetables. With asparagus, you actually don't have to cook it then. You can actually eat it raw and put it as a garnish as well.
Especially these little we call them tender tips.
These
They
ones
just
are
chop up. They're lovely
Tender
salads.
tips, tips.
Yep.
Very, very quick to cook. Easy, they're very
Beautiful, crunchy on the outside. Really
but they're
soft
green on the
inside.
inside. They're green on the inside.
Yeah, and they're actually kind of sweet as well.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
a sweeter, milder flavour than tastes a bit like sweet peas.
A little bit.
peas, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Now you mention it.
Yeah.
There you go. I've actually got my breakfast for free today. Now, in regards to the actual process, you're going to charge me a fiver for that. That's
No,
okay.
high in fibre, I said,
High in
Josh.
fibre.
High in fibre.
Actually, something, Philip, you mentioned off camera, is that it's actually really good for a hangover, asparagus. Why is that?
Wouldn't know, Josh. I don't know.
It's a good
There's a-
liver protector.
Good
Josh.
liver protector.
Fair, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they all say. Yeah.
Wonderful. Excellent.
It's a superfood.
It's a superfood.
What other health benefits are in asparagus as well?
All the vitamins and antioxidants, and what are the main ones? Good for pregnancy.
High in folic acid. So apparently asparagus has four asparagus spears that give you 22% of your folic acid.
Excellent. So not also a beautiful vegetable, but also got a lot of benefits with it as well.
A lot of health benefits. It is a superfood, so it's high in vitamin
It grows
A.
from a crown, and the crown's very deep rooted, so it gets down there and finds the nutrients that we don't normally get, brings them up to the surface into the spears. Wonderful. And that's why they're such a superfood. Every spear is cut with love.
Wonderful. Excellent. And it's a very labour intensive process, because from what you've said, it all has to be individually picked by hand. So you've got naturally the family which every single week prepares it, brings it to market.
Yeah, we employ about five local people every second day. Philip and I both work, picking and packing, sorting and packing. So every spear is handled with a lot of TLC, and there's
some jumbos.
Very labour intensive.
Wonderful, excellent. And so are you cutting it with a knife or
Very
with a special
rude
tool? Or?
spears.
We're cutting it just with little horticultural secateurs.
Wonderful.
And then it goes over a sorting table where it's cut to length. Then it's bunched and packed.
Right. And then the last question, you mentioned at the start about ethically grown. Explain to us sort of about that process and why you're so proud of how you grow your asparagus.
One of the main things is the labour that we pay the award rate, the agricultural award rate, and we employ locals. Some of the labour is on the mainland especially is not the award rate, not locals, international illegal pickers. We're just sort of just a family operation employing locals.
Wonderful. And that's the thing we love about Harvest Launceston, is that locals supporting locals and employing locals, and certainly it's about that family environment, and that's something which your family is very, very proud of.
Yeah, and our employees all love. Everyone's happy together.
The last question, last question was so much about asparagus, but in regards to how you love cooking it. Naturally, our viewers out there, if they're going to come and visit you today, how do you love cooking asparagus, and what tips could you give to our viewers out there?
Well, I think the main thing is we have to eat it. It's only a very short season, Josh. So it's got to be eaten 3 meals a day, probably, with asparagus and eggs. It's fantastic, poached eggs. The smaller tender tips are great just for breakfast, just to fry in a little bit of olive oil and butter. The protein and the little bit of fat gets everything working really well. And then lunch, we tend to steaming's fantastic. I just think it's best to be kept simple. We just have steamed asparagus, or, as I said, in a pan with a little bit of butter and olive oil or salt and pepper.
The critical thing is don't overcook it and don't undercook it.
Okay, wonderful.
Overcooking it will make it go to mush, and you might as well just buy it out of a can. You've got to have it crunchy.
Okay, so there's the tip. So keep it simple, a little bit of butter or olive oil in the pan, really enhancing those flavours, and that's the best way to eat the asparagus from the Headlams.
Make it the hero.
Make it the hero of the dish. Well, guys, thank you so much. Congratulations on everything you're doing. And guys, certainly pop on down to Harvest Launceston today. The sun is out, there's not a cloud in the sky. It might be a little chilly with 13 degrees, but that's okay. Grab a jumper and you'll be fine. And certainly today we've also got a choir in the centre of Harvest Launceston, because I believe that today it's World Singing Day. So we've got Vox Harmony here, which is a community choir. They're here from 10 to 11:30, so come on down if you want to sing along as well. We might join them, but otherwise, guys, have a fantastic weekend. If you've got any questions, ask in the comments section below, and we'd love you to also give us a like, a share, and certainly get it out into the community as well. But otherwise, come and get some
and us, a like and a share.
Where can we find you? Have you got a Facebook page?
We've got a Facebook page, and we've just hit Instagram as well, Josh. So
wonderful.
We'd love some followers.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Headlam Farms, that's the tag.
Headlam Farm.
Headlam Farm on Instagram and Facebook. Go and give them a share and a like. But otherwise, guys, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next weekend when we go and interview another storeholder as well. Guys, thank you so much.
Thanks, Joshua.
Thanks, Josh.
Cheers.
50 bunches to a box.